It was 4 in the morning when the phone rang, and Alvin Clemens did not move to answer it. It rang a second time, then a third, and finally his wife, Mildred, shifted over to the nightstand, flipped on the lamp, and answered it herself. "For you," she said, tapping the receiver lightly on her husband's shoulder. Alvin turned over onto his back and took the phone. "Yeah?" The voice on the other end belonged to Fred Pittman, a homicide lieutenant who was manning the graveyard shift at the headquarters on Somerset Terrace. "It's Frank," Pittman said. "Again, only this time somebody gave him a pretty bad beating." Alvin sat up quickly. "Beating?" "That's right," Pittman said. "Outside that place over on Glenwood, the bottom rail." "Dear God," Alvin whispered. He glanced knowingly at Mildred, who shook her head despairingly. "The 2 patrolmen are with him," Pittman continued. "Rookies, more or less, but they know how to keep their mouths shut." "Good," Alvin said. "You make sure they do. I'll be there in about 20 minutes. He hung up and rolled himself out of the bed. "Somebody beat him up, Alvin?" Mildred asked. Alvin pulled his shirt from the doorknob of his closet. "Yeah." "Sheila did the right thing letting him go," Mildred said. "I guess," Alvin said. He buttoned the first button, then the second, hoping Mildred would just shut up about it. "Someday you'll have to, Alvin," she said. "Let him go, I mean." He buttoned the last button, then grabbed for his pants. "He's my brother, Mildred." "And you've done everything you can for him," Mildred said. "Brought him to Atlanta, got him on the force. What else is expected, huh? What else?" "His daughter killed herself," Alvin said, suddenly looking his wife straight in the eye. "Who knows what I might do if Mary Ann did that?" "He was on his way already," Mildred said, almost disgustedly. Alvin tightened his belt, grabbed his pistol from the top shelf of the closet, and fled the room. "Get some sleep," he said as he closed the door. "I'll call you when I know the details." Mildred waved her hand. "Don't bother." The drive-in from Decatur took longer than he expected, but the 2 patrolmen were still waiting when he got there. They were both standing idly in the alley, one of them smoking a cigarette, the other sipping at a can of Pepsi. They straightened themselves quickly as Alvin got out of his car and began walking toward them. "How bad is he?" "He took a pounding," one of the officers said. "We've got him in the back of the car here." Alvin bent over and peered into the rear of the patrol car. He could see Frank balled up in the seat, his arms folded around his midsection, his knees pulled up toward his chest. "Dear God," Alvin said. "He didn't want to be taken anywhere," one of the patrolmen said. Alvin glanced at the identification tag on his uniform. Billings. "You been on the force long?" he asked him. "No, sir," Billings said. Alvin nodded. "Well, you did the right thing calling homicide. We'll keep this an in-house operation." Billings reached into the pocket of his uniform and pulled out a badge. "We found this on the street. That's what tipped us off." Alvin took the badge and dropped it into his pants pocket. "Thanks. I'm much obliged to both of you." He opened the back door of the patrol car and pulled Frank out, bringing him ponderously to his feet. "Come on, little brother," he whispered. "Let's get you home." It was almost dawn by the time Alvin finally managed to drag Frank up the stairs and deposit him on the stained green sofa that sat in the middle of the living room. It was a dingy room with unpainted walls and a linoleum-covered floor. There were no pictures on the walls, no curtains on the windows, just a set of Venetian blinds which drooped to the left and rattled softly when the wind blew through the blades. "You ought to dump this place, Frank," Alvin said, as he brought a wet dishcloth in from the small kitchen and began gently daubing the bruises on his brother's face. Frank brushed his hand away. "No more Good Samaritan shit, Alvin." He nodded toward the chair opposite the sofa. "Sit down. Relax, I'm all right." "No, you're not," Alvin said. He dropped the cloth into Frank's lap. "Do it yourself, then." Frank picked up the cloth and held it against one swollen eye. "Thanks for coming to get me," he said quietly. Alvin nodded quickly.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.